Talking economy and optimization is all well and good, but it won't mean anything if you're not properly prepared when you get out on the battlefield. So today, we're going to be talking about some tips for combat and unit building in Unicorn Overlord. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel.
Unicorn Overlord.
Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, my coverage of Unicorn Overlord, whether it be guides, gameplay, news, etc., or just the way I handle things around here on the channel, a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Today, 10 more tips, combat and unit building. We're going to go ahead and get right into it, but first I just wanted to say thank you for the show of support on all of the recent videos. The channel's been doing great, and it's because of you guys that we are continuing to grow around here, and I'm able to continue making YouTube my full-time career. We're not quite there yet, but we're sure as hell getting there pretty quick, so thank you for that. Number one, I mentioned this in a previous video, but it bears repeating for anyone who is new to the game or the genre. Utilize Joseph. Joseph, the Paladin, is a massively overleveled and powerful unit that the game gives you right at the very start for a reason. He can block, he can heal, he can deal massive amounts of damage, and he can give your allies shields to prevent them from being debuffed. These are all phenomenal tools to help your little lobies actually grow into the capable warriors that we all know they can be. Add on top of that his massive movement range, the fact that he is able to reduce magical assists due to his leader effect, which is a unique effect for him until you get shamans, which can take a little while. His combat buffs, his healing, he can really do it all. And if you really want to, you can even hand him the runic blade at the start of the game to improve his damage even further, as his magical attack is much better than his physical attack. Joseph is what we call a Jagan in the business, a term inherited from Fire Emblem, and anyone who knows their stuff will always tell you, use your Jagans. Will he fall off eventually? Yes, he's been starting to fall off for me, but until he does, and even once he does, he still has plenty of capabilities in training up your squad. Utilize him. Do it. Number two, set skills to target lowest HP at baseline in your tactics menu. Before you worry about setting fancy custom tactics with all sorts of different activation requirements and different skills at play and yada yada yada, do yourself a favor and change the majority of your attacks to target lowest HP or lowest percent HP depending on what it is you're going for. This will ensure that your soldiers will finish off weakened enemies more often than not, potentially preventing damage from counterattacks, as well as making it easier to get to the enemy backline. There's really no worse feeling than knowing that your team could have eliminated a dangerous enemy like a sellsword and just chose not to target them because of default targeting when you could have made sure that they would target them, only to have them go and killing chain through half of your units and just make you feel really bad about yourself. Get your executes set up. Not every skill wants to be targeting lowest HP. Your big damage skills probably want to be targeting highest HP to weaken enemies, but in most situations, especially single target attacks, make sure that you're cleaning these enemies up. It'll make things way more efficient and easy for you in the long run. Number three, utilize mock battles. There are two types of mock battles in the game. We spoke about one in the previous tips video, the battles where you can go and fight a group of mercenaries. If you beat them in one round of combat, you get 2,000 gold. That's one type, and it is useful to learn how your units are able to handle combat. However, there's another that doesn't give you any specific rewards, but that is infinitely repeatable and that you have full control over. In mock battles in forts, you are able to pit two of your squads against each other, any two squads, as many times as you want, to see how they perform. You can test out different equipment loadouts, different formations, different combinations of characters and units, test what types of units your characters are good and not good against, anything and everything that you can possibly imagine. It's a phenomenal tool for figuring out exactly how your army ticks and what you can change or optimize to make them more capable, or at the very least, make them not terrible. The number of times that I've theory crafted a squad or a unit or even just a new set of tactics on a particular character, only to go into mock battles and realize, oh, that's terrible. That's just not going to work how I thought it was going to work at all. Is a little higher than I'm really comfortable admitting, but it's important that we learn from our mistakes. This way, hopefully you guys can learn from mine. Use your mock battles, test some stuff out, especially if you're an expert. You'll be happy that you did. It'll teach you a lot about the game. Number four, don't immediately rest when hitting 0 stamina. As you've probably seen if you've been playing Unicorn Overlord at all, a unit will have a certain amount of stamina that they can go through before they wind up being unable to move. For infantry units, this is typically 6, flyers 4, cavalry 5, etc., with exceptions here and there. Now the trick is that just because a unit is out of stamina doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't able to fight. It just means that they can't move. And this is important. When you rest, you are completely incapable of defending yourself and will likely just get crushed by whatever enemy squad happens to attack you. If your squad is capable of holding their own, they've got good attacks, good defense, some healing, you can leave them sitting there in the middle of the battlefield and they will defend themselves just fine, even though you can't move them. Do not be afraid to do this. Have a unit like this guard a choke point or lure enemy units. They'll fight just fine, and once the coast is clear, maybe you have some other units come in to reinforce them, or just all of the enemies have been diverted or defeated, then you can have them rest and get them back on the move. It is important to rest them as soon as you can, because obviously there's a timer on these maps, and the faster you complete a map, the better the rewards that you get, but it's better to wait a little bit until the coast is clear, rather than resting preemptively and having a unit get slaughtered. Trust me, it's a terrible feeling to have happen. Number 5, use the provoke skill or items such as the beckoning bell to pull problematic units out of towers or cover. This is a really nice one, and it's one that I've seen people be confused about a lot. There's different types of garrisonable buildings, towns, etc. Some of them, like proper towns and garrisons, don't allow you to pull units out of them or knock units out of them with effects like the Cyclone Shrine. Others, like towers, you can. Experiment with this. There's really no better feeling than seeing a really nasty squad of like 4 mages in a tower covering a boss unit, or just a choke point that you need to try and push through, and being like, how the hell am I supposed to get to them and take them out without them just bombing all of my units into oblivion for no stamina cost? Well, bring a fighter, or use a beckoning bell. They will strut right out of their tower, right into your waiting, open, gentle, crushing, slaughtering arms. It's so nice. It's so, so nice. This is also beneficial if there's just a nasty squad that's guarding a choke point, or a particular type of squad that you want to eliminate before others because of their potential damage output or other types of support that they're doing. So being able to pull them forward as well is also really solid. The fighter's provoke skill is incredibly strong for this reason. Beckoning bells, just as good. Utilize these. Don't forget about them. It'll make your life a lot easier. Number 6, use the portable mantlet item to create a garrison point for your assist squads, making their assist cost 0 stamina. This is one of my favorite strategies. I absolutely adore this. It's so much fun. You know these little sets of 3 wooden mantlets that you can put down on the battlefield, or that sometimes just are on the battlefield, that you can garrison, and they essentially function as a mini guard tower that'll block some damage for you, eventually get destroyed. The thing about that is it's a garrison. When you're garrisoned, your units that are using assist skills, healing assist, ranged assist, magic assist, etc., don't use any stamina. Mantlets are an item in your inventory that you can have any unit deploy wherever you want, whenever you want. Pack some of these for a difficult fight. Take your dedicated assist squad, plop them in the middle of your formation, walk everyone up to the enemy's front door, put that mantlet down and say, ha ha, I have permanent assists, boy. It's so much fun. It's so nice. And just knowing that you're going to have permanent fire support or permanent healing support as you deal with however many enemies you need to deal with, it really changes the course of a fight, like dramatically. Speaking of those assists, number 7, consider building a dedicated assist squad. The more of one type of assist character you have in a unit, the more effective that assist will be. I did some testing on this. There was a lot of conversation back and forth in my Discord, the community at large, whether this was actually a thing. If it was just a matter of having more characters in a particular unit, and if that would make your assist stronger, or if you needed more of a dedicated type of assist unit to make that assist stronger. Well, I can tell you. Footage is on screen right now. Some low-level squads that I just put together just to test this, so the damage output is low, but you can still see. I have 2 units here. One, headed up by Aush the Wizard, the only wizard in his squad. The other, a squad of 4 wizards. The results are obvious. Aush's squad is only dealing 9 damage to this enemy unit that's currently bouncing off of my cavalry squad, whereas the dedicated wizard unit is doing 15, nearly double the amount of damage that Aush is doing. And that's something to consider because they're all low level and have bad gear. Once they're leveled and have better gear, they'll be doing way more damage than that as well. What does this mean? Well, say you want to have healing wherever you go. Consider putting together a squad of 4, maybe more, clerics. Just recruit them, give them some basic gear, and send them on their way. Drop a mantlet, like our previous tip suggested, in the middle of the battlefield. Plop them in there. You just have healing forever. Your own personal pocket healer for your entire army, so long as they're within range, that never gets tired, and because it's all clerics, will heal for incredible amounts. This is such a fun strategy to use. It is one of the #1 reasons why you might want to consider utilizing mercenaries from various different forts and find enough forts to get enough of the mercenary you're looking for. It's so powerful. Like, you're used to getting bullied by the enemy with squads like this. Well, now you can do it too. And I highly, highly recommend that you do. Number 8, if you're struggling with a tough fight in a stage, consider shifting your unit's formation around. There's a lot of different tools that you have at your disposal to make your units more capable, to guarantee or at least make it more likely that they're going to survive any given fight or even get a 1-round kill on an enemy unit and keep on moving. Whether that be changing gear, tactics, the types of units in a squad, etc., you have a lot of things you can do. But one of the easiest is taking an existing unit and just swapping around who's where in said unit. The reason this works is because it changes up RNG and targeting both for yourself and for the enemy. Maybe you were going to have one of your characters get down in the middle of the fight and they weren't going to be able to get their attack off. By changing your formation around, maybe one of your tankier units is going to take the brunt of the assault, and then that other unit that would have been downed will be able to get their damage in and swing the course of the fight in your favor. There's a lot that can happen with this, and I'm not going to profess to know every single in and out of it, but do some experimentation. Just shift some things around, especially if things are looking bleak and your squad is about to get absolutely annihilated, like what happened to me here in this Elheim mission. Change some stuff up. It might not completely get you out of the sticky situation, but it could be the difference between a squad getting eliminated and not getting eliminated, and that gives you a lot more room to work with. Number 9, use the Sellsword's Summon Mercenaries ability to even the playing field. Sellswords are an incredibly powerful class. Their following slash ability, just chaining together hits seemingly endlessly, their massive damage output, the fact that they can use Killing Chain to chain attacks together over and over again if they keep getting executions, they're very, very strong. However, that's not the only thing that they have going for them. They have a unique Valor skill, Summon Mercenaries, and what this does, for 1 point, is put a green squad on the battlefield for you. Uncontrollable, but allied, that will move towards the nearest group of enemies and fight until they get eliminated or their stamina gets depleted. This is just good as it is, just throwing free, essentially, squads down to soften up enemies, take aggro, push back, etc. Very, very strong. But the kicker about this is that they scale to the level of the stage that you're on, not the character that they were summoned by. So you can waltz into literally any map in the game, and for 1 measly Valor point, summon a squad that is on par approximately with the enemy. And that can be huge. Whether you pop a bunch of Hallowed Corn Ash and spam out 5 or 6 mercenaries, or just have one dedicated squad that you send out in front of your main units to soften up the enemy, you'll always be in a position where you're fighting on equal footing. And that can level the playing field so much. If you're underleveled or on high difficulty and struggling, it could be the huge difference maker. So pack at least 1 Sellsword, put them in a squad. Don't even have to be the squad leader. Just have them there and try out Summon Mercenaries. It's real nice. And finally, number 10. In all this talk of optimization and upgrades, keep in mind that not every single character in every single unit you have needs to be kitted out to the nines. Upgrades can start to get expensive, and while I do have a video that's going to be coming out soon about the absolutely absurd ways that you can start stacking up gold gaining effects to get a ton of income really quick, things are still pricey. You're not going to be able to buy every single item and every single weapon from every single shop that you see until you're going back to areas you've already cleared and cleaning out their inventories with massive income from later game areas. That's where certain units need to be recognized as not needing all of the best gear. Your support characters like shamans and clerics don't need the fanciest new staves around, just as long as they've got something that's good enough. And I promise, your knight isn't going to immediately crumple just because he's not holding the latest innovation in Fevrith's shield technology. Be smart about your upgrades and who you give your best gear to, and you can get away with a lot of older, outdated stuff elsewhere in your army. Make sure that you've got 2 or 3 units kitted out in the best gear. Absolutely. But other than that, your backup squads, your support units, guys who are maybe just supposed to go in there and tank some hits, they don't need to have all the best gear. So you can save yourself a lot of money and focus your upgrades where you need them to be, building taller, not wider, as I like to say, and you'll be in a much better position. Don't sweat it too much. And that, my friends, are my first 10 tips on combat and unit building for Unicorn Overlord. There is so much to talk about with this game, so much I have learned, even just since I wrote this script. I'm desperately trying to put out as many videos as I can to get y'all informed. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it taught you something, let me know what you learned about it. If it taught you something, let me know what you learned in the comments down below. And if there's a particular topic that you want to see me cover, let me know that as well. Finally, if you have any other tips for economy and optimization, combat, unit building, or anything else in the game that isn't spoilers, put it down there. I can learn something, other members of the community can learn something, and we can all get better at this game together. With that said, though, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.